Long time ago in Atlanta, what is the basketball arena called now? Phillips? State Farm. It used to be Phillips years ago. We were, a friend of mine who does radio here named Ryan Cameron had gotten a gig and we had came into town. This was a long time ago, doing comedy clubs back then. And Ryan Cameron used to be the opening act for all the hip hop acts everywhere. But the Muppets on Ice had came to Phillips. And it was radio night, so they had all of the city radio stations doing a night there. And Ryan had #1 show. So they said the guy with the #1 radio show in Atlanta announces the Muppets on Ice. So I'm backstage with Ryan and J. Anthony Brown, and we backstage. This is in the 90s. And Ryan Cameron been doing hip hop shows his whole career, and he got caught up. He said, "Are you ready for the show to get started?" Everybody say, "Yeah." So all the little kids, yeah, the mothers and fathers. "Are you ready for Miss Piggy?" "Yeah." "Are you ready for Kermit the Frog?" "Yeah." "Are you ready for Big Bird?" "Yeah." "Well, let's make some mother noise." Damn arena got so quiet. me and J. Anthony Brown was laying in the floor. Big Bird was a tall black guy. That took his head off, set it on the ground, and was wheezing laughing. The funniest it's a true story. This really happened. Them mothers was going, "Yeah, let's make some noise." And the little kids went, "Yeah!" That's a true story, man. I can't make this up. The only thing saved his career was this was before social media and all this. So I said, "Oh man, that's the funniest I've ever seen at an ice skating show." It's some of the most talented people in the world in Harlem. That log that you have to rub, the reason you have to rub that log is because that log used to be called the Tree of Hope. That's from the tree that was on 125th Street. When all of the Broadway producers needed a replacement for a white performer on Broadway, they would come up to the Tree of Hope, and all the black tappers, dancers, singers, choreographers were all standing under the tree. And they called it Tree of Hope because they hoped they got picked. But because blacks weren't allowed to perform on Broadway, they would bring the blacks down there, put them in heavy makeup to make them look white, because they could get the blacks because they could learn the routine in 30 minutes. And they could perform by that night. So they called it the Tree of Hope. So when they expanded West 25th Street, 125th Street, they broadened it, they cut the tree down. All of the performers went, "No, you can't cut the tree down." So they took the tree stump and they brought it inside the world famous Apollo Theater. And that's why you have to rub that log. If you don't rub that log, you're not performing here. You're not performing, they eat your ass alive. I've seen a lot of people turn that corner, don't rub that log, and the starts immediately. And that's a true story, man. It's like this country was just that way, But they were so talented, and now all those people, they sit in the audience. So when you come to the Harlem, the world famous Apollo Theater, why do you think Bruno Mars did his last special at the Apollo Theater? This dude can sell out a stadium. His father is a New York performer. Bruno Mars' daddy told him, "Until you perform at the Apollo Theater, you ain't." Oh, he told his son, "You ain't." Bruno Mars had to prove to his father, after all them hits, Bruno Mars had to go to the Apollo Theater to perform, to prove to his father he was the lick. That's why he did the Apollo Theater, because he knew, every artist know. You can't, look man, I was at Apollo Theater. I've seen, Luther Vandross has gotten booed at the Apollo. The best voice on earth. Anita Baker has gotten booed at the Apollo Theater. I've introduced everybody at that theater. Lauryn Hill's first time, I introduced her. Jasmine Sullivan's first time. Puffy's first time, I introduced him. Biggie Small's first time, I introduced him. Naughty by Nature's first time. Mary J. Blige's first time. First time ever, I've introduced all of them. That theater right there, that's the place, man. It's like nothing like it. It's the greatest gig I've ever had, man. That was my favorite show I've ever done back in the day. It gave me my whole career.
Bring back the Hoodie Awards.
I don't know, man. I thought about it, but I don't know. I doubt it. I changed it to the Neighborhood Awards. I used to, on my radio show, I'm in 112 cities. I used to have celebrity friends of mine come to Las Vegas, and I would hold nominations for things that were great in the neighborhood, like best church, best teacher, best barbershop, best auto detail, best soul food restaurant, best coach, and they would vote all over the country. We get to the 4 finalists with the top 4 vote getters from around the country, and we'd have another national vote, and I'd bring all 4 of the nominees from each category out to Las Vegas. So for like best car wash, I had Snoop, introduce the category and give away the prize because he was in car wash, Best church choir, I'd have Yolanda Adams and Kirk Franklin. I'd give best teacher or something, I'd have Judge Mathis or some TV personality. Best something, I have just a bunch of celebrity friends of mine. And it's such a cool thing for a regular person to win a national award and have a celebrity. The thing for us was celebrities get to give out the awards instead of winning them. And the people would be beaming, man. The guy win best car wash, because this dude just got the best car wash in the hood. When's he ever gonna get an award, right? And he come through 15,000 people and the lights be on him and dude have his suit on, stand up there giving an acceptance speech, and it was pretty good. I did it for 13 years. I started having trouble with the sponsors because I called it the Hoodie Awards for years. The sponsors were saying that was too ghetto. So I changed it to the Neighborhood Awards, and they didn't pay no more money for that. Don't tell me how to act, and then you got no reward for it. When I conform to what you want to do, and then you me with the money, I can just do me. See, J. Anthony Brown taught me how to do comedy. He was the first black headliner I met in 1985. He was the first road gig I ever had. He taught me how to do comedy. We've been friends ever since. He's now a writer on this show, but he was a writer on Arsenio, Parenthood, Sister Sister. He's been one of the top writers on a lot of shows. He wrote all those years on Arsenio Hall. He wrote all his monologues, everything. He's not gonna work with nobody. I can just save you that right there. Because we stand-ups, we work by ourselves, He taught me how to do comedy in '85. There was Byron Allen, George Wallace, and J. Anthony Brown. There were only 3 black headliners in the United States. You all don't understand how comedy used to be. If you went to a comedy club in the '80s, you could not see 2 African-American comedians at a white-owned comedy club. They did not allow 2 blacks to perform on the same show in 1985, 86, 87, 88, 89, because they didn't want the similar acts on stage. So we had to deal with that. So if he was working at a club, I couldn't work there. Even if they booked us, because my name was Steve Harvey, very nondescript, I would show up. If another black was there and the club owner saw it, one of us had to go home. And I was usually the newest act, so I had to go home. But he ended up teaching me how to do the business. I saw how much money he was making as a headliner. This one night. We was getting played at this place called, where was we at?
I think Nick's.
Nick's in Bloomington, Indiana. And at the end of the night, I was getting $75 because that's what I was making. They paid him $1,800. And they was counting his money out, and the club owner told me, he said, you step out the room. Jay said, no, he could stay. So he was paying Jay the money, the $1,800, and about $1,000 he counted. He said, man, I'm paying you guys too much money. He told the club owner, he said, hey man, I don't want to hear that. He said, unless you got 45 minutes of jokes your self, just hand me my money without all this conversation. That's when I said, that's what will be. And we just remained friends over the years. And then, you know, when I got this talk show out here in LA, came down here, he was out here. He head right on the show. So she knows you.
Oh, her. Hey.